In a quiet village nestled between green hills lived a stray cat named Whiskers and a loyal dog named Bruno. Whiskers, with her soft grey fur and sharp eyes, had always been wary of dogs, while Bruno, a large golden retriever, had been taught that cats were not to be trusted. But fate had other plans. One cold winter night, Whiskers was caught in a trap set by a cruel hunter. Her tiny paws were bleeding and her cries echoed through the silent village. Bruno, who was resting outside his owner's house, heard her painful meows. His heart ached for the fragile creature, and without hesitation, he ran towards the sound. When he found Whiskers, she was trembling, her eyes filled with fear as she saw the big dog approach. But Bruno gently bit the trap's lever and pressed it open, freeing her. Instead of running away, Whiskers stayed, watching Bruno with curiosity. That night she followed him home and curled up beside him for warmth. From that day on, an unusual friendship blossomed. They shared food, played in the fields, and protected each other from danger. The villagers often saw Whiskers riding on Bruno's back, and it became a sight that warmed their hearts, but happiness is often tested. One fateful afternoon, as they wandered near the riverbank, they heard a desperate cry. A little boy had fallen into the river, struggling against the strong currents. Without a second thought, Bruno jumped into the water, paddling fiercely. But the currents were too strong and he started getting pulled away. Seeing her friend in danger, Whiskers knew she had to act. She sprinted back to the village, her small paws barely touching the ground as she meowed loudly for help. The villagers, recognizing her urgency, followed her to the river. With their help, the boy was saved, but Bruno was exhausted, barely holding on. As he was pulled out, his body was cold and weak. Whiskers refused to leave his side, licking his face and curling up beside him to share her warmth. Days passed, and Bruno slowly recovered. When he finally opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was Whiskers, her eyes glistening with relief. From that day forward, their bond became a legend in the village, a tale of love, sacrifice, and a friendship that defied nature itself. Because sometimes the truest friendships aren't bound by instinct, but by the willingness to give everything for each other.